This is Jonathan from MTG Modern Ad Nauseam, and welcome to this last video of this first league. So I'll just call this video a wrap up, which means that I just want to discuss briefly about what we've been through in this first league. So I just consolidated our matches into this simple Excel spreadsheet so we can have all the results in front of us. We ended up going 3-2, which is good. I guess it's above average, but we have much higher expectation from Ad Nauseam, especially that if we look at the breakdown, we're 7-7 in terms of games, so we didn't do that great. And also, what I would say, what disappoints me the most is this matchup here, this 5 matchup. That's the kind of matchup where we should expect a 5-0. It was good matchups. Affinity is always difficult, especially because we don't have Hercules Recall. But it's probably the toughest matchup in the list, and we managed to get a win from it. Pyromancer Ascension and Jeskai Control should be favorable matchup. Usually any kind of brew. So I call it brew because I couldn't. I did some research, but I really couldn't manage to find any established deck that matches the few cards that we've seen. So I'll just call it a brew. While usually we're quite good against brew because we do a lot of stupid stuff. That usually this kind of brew deck, they don't really cater for Ad Nauseam or this kind of deck. So brew, especially when it's a brew in green white color, he did have black, but apparently we didn't see any discard. So good matchup. Burn is a good matchup, a very favorable matchup. We doesn't mean that we'll win every time against Burn. We saw it was quite tight. But usually in normal circumstances we should grab the win against Burn. So Pyromancer Ascension, Jeskai Control, I've played actually quite a bit of time against them, whether it's in paper or MTGO, and I've had really good results against these two decks. I've had a really good roll against Jeskai Control in my first matches. I think I went 6-0 or 8-0 in a row for my first 3 to 4 matches. So I've realized it's getting a bit more difficult. The last matches, I think I've lost my last 2 or 3 matches against Jeskai Control. A few times because of Blood Moon. We haven't seen any Blood Moon during that league, which definitely helps to get some games and some wins. So so disappointed because Pyromancer Ascension and Jeskai Control, usually when I lose against those decks, it's because of Blood Moon. So we saw that we had quite a bad hand, a very bad hand game 1 against Jeskai Control, but we couldn't do anything. Game 2 was very close, but we couldn't make it. So I would say that's a comment that I've made in one of the videos that I want to make again, is what I like about Ad Nauseam is even though we lose, it will happen again. Usually when we look back at the match, at the game, it's always almost very close. We always one turn or one discard out. So we can tell from when we're on the pilot side that the deck is very dangerous because it can combo out and very quickly, can combo out of nowhere. And even when we lose, usually we just about to get the win. So in terms of our sideboarding and our main boarding as well, it's going to be about that turn or that small piece that we missed, this little thing. How can we make it just more consistent so we can ensure that we can combo one turn earlier or be more consistent, so we can get ahead and fix that issue. So in here, I'll just open our deck list. So that's the deck list that we had for the league. Nothing to say much about the sideboard. This is very well established. This deck list, I would say at 98%. Has one GP, so I don't think there is anything, and a GP of 2,000 plus players. So in terms of the main board, there's nothing I want to say. I like it. It's very neat playset of Reaction and Life, playset of pretty much playset of everything except we have 3 spoils, 3 packed. Very neat with 20 lands, no fetch. Still like it. We couldn't manage to do a successful spoils this league. We had to try once, but it was fairly desperate when we had to. So we couldn't show what spoils is made of, but we'll definitely play it again in the next few leagues in the future. So I'm sure we'll find a spot to make spoils of the Vol shine. I really like Reaction and Life. I mean the playset of Reaction and Life. I think it's one of the first time that I play 4, and I think we comboed a lot with Reaction and Life today. So quite happy with that. It definitely helped us against burn. It helped us getting virtually some life. So altogether, I quite like the playset, and I'm happy to keep it that way. I think there is nothing much to discuss about the main board here. It's like I said, very well established. On the sideboard, though, we tried a couple of I would say, to be a bit creative on the sideboard. Not much, but the Pollen Lullaby. So the Pollen Lullaby, well, it's not that creative because it's the darkness. It's just an enhanced darkness, the most expensive enhanced darkness, more expensive one. What I didn't like is the number. We didn't get to cast Pollen Lullaby. That was just based on the circumstances. But it's actually hard to sideboard 3 Lullaby because we usually want to bring other things first. Let's say against aggro, against affinity and burn. Let's talk about burn first. We wanted to the Line of Sanctity. It's already 4 cards. That's already a stretch. We wanted maybe a Slaughter Pact might be better than a Pollen Lullaby. Yeah, so, and then because we're going to play against a fast deck, we don't want to dilute the combo too much. So do we want actually to bring through 3 Pollen Lullabies? It felt like we didn't want to, if I remember correctly. So it might be, I might still want to try that a bit more because like I said, we couldn't really cast it, but maybe as a 2-off. And and try something else instead. And I really like Patrician's Cone. It helped us steal a game against Pyromancer Ascension when we did the trick casting Reaction and Life and holding priority and doing Patrician's Cone to destroy Pyromancer Ascension. So it helped us a lot. It will help us later on when we play against Blood Moon. So I'm sure this is great. It can be very helpful against other kind of deck, like I mentioned, Bogos and things like that. Giga Draws, we couldn't cast Giga Draws simply because we didn't draw it, but it would have been a winning top deck against Jeskai Control, and for a few turns. We actually top deck for quite a few turns, and if it was a Giga Draws, it would have won us the game. So I'm still really happy with this here. And based on the fact that we lost twice against blue-red deck, if we remove a Pollen Lullaby, we might just want to increase our hate against Counterspell and blue decks. Which means we already have 4 Pact of Negation, but we can bring a second Giga Draws or a second Posechu. If we remember correctly, Jeskai Control was playing Ghost Quarter, so Giga Draws is actually maybe even better than Posechu, knowing that Posechu enters tapped. So if our opponent has already a Ghost Quarter in play, then there's nothing we can do. We will enter tapped, and when our opponent untaps, he can get rid of it. So Giga Draws is probably more. It's a bit safer, even though it can be discarded with a click. Thoughtseize, if I remember correctly as well, we won a match thanks to Thoughtseize with the timely discard. I could remove a Pollen Lullaby and bring a third Thoughtseize. The only thing is, in the past, I've played decks with 3 or 4 Thoughtseize just because I thought this card is so good that just having a playset of it was the right decision. But the thing is, we're gonna face the same problem as Pollen Lullaby. Very hard to sideboard too many Thoughtseize because we always, in most matchup, we always want to either bring the playset of Leyline of Sanctity when we're facing this card, or we want to bring the Pact of Negation, which means we want the playset of Pact of Negation. And then when we realize that we need to go and bring Thoughtseize, for example, we need to dilute the combo or dilute our mana. And when we start thinking about it, we'd rather bring maybe 1 or 2 Thoughtseize only, so we can be as consistent as possible with our mana, instead of, let's say, I could remove 4 mana rocks for 4 Thoughtseize, but then it's getting difficult because we're only playing 20 land. So that's it. I think that covers it all. What I wanted to wrap up. I don't want to make a video too long. I've realized that I spent 37 minutes in the deck tech. That's way too long. So I'll try to be much faster in the next deck tech. And I really hope that you guys have enjoyed watching this this first leak. So that's the first video I've made on YouTube. It's a brand new channel, so I hope you guys like it. Don't hesitate to feedback anything to me. If there is something you want to see or something that I could improve, of course I'll be really happy to hear feedbacks. And yeah, thank you very much, and see you soon in League number 2.